Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. For more than 150 years, ours has been a congregation of open minds and loving hearts, celebrating many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your hopes for our world, and your story are welcome here. And our doors are closed because our hearts are open, living our values of care and compassion. You can stay connected and join us online each Sunday for a coffee hour and for various small groups or forums. You can find out more on our website. Today's offering will go to support our church, its mission, as well as half for our Human Needs Fund, offering financial assistance to members and friends. Thank you for your generosity. And a special thank you today to several worship associates and service participants offering readings and reflections for this annual ritual of change and growth at the end of our calendar year. And a thank you to Ferguson, our co-director of music, for offering a reflection today, a way in this time of distance for this new musician among us to not only hear him play, but hear him speak. So thank you for helping create today's service. And finally, in the words of the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes, minister of this church in the 1870s, may our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way into a new year.
This is the Unitarian Universalist Church. This is the Church of the Flaming Chalice. This is the Church of the Open Mind. This is the Church of the Loving Heart, where friends come together and share.
This month of December with the theme of stillness is a perfect way to take some time to reflect on the year behind us and the year ahead of us. That's kind of what this ritual of change and growth is all about. Sometimes reflection on things like this can be as simple as changing your perspective. A Stone Sat Still by Brendan Wenzel. A stone sat still with the water, grass, and dirt, and it was as it was where it was in the world. And the stone was dark, and the stone was bright, and the stone was loud, and the stone was quiet. And it sat where it sat with the water, grass, and dirt, and it was as it was where it was in the world. And the stone was rough, and the stone was smooth, The stone was green, red, purple, and blue. The stone was a pebble, and the stone was a hill. And the stone was a feel, and the stone was a smell. And it sat where it sat with the water, grass, and dirt, and it was as it was where it was in the world. And the stone was the wild, and the stone was a home. And the stone was a kitchen, and the stone was a throne. The stone was a marker, and a map, and a maze. A danger, a haven, a story, a stage. And the stone was a blink, and the stone was an age. The stone was an island, and the stone was a wave. The stone was a memory, and the stone was always. Have you ever known such a place? Where with water, grass, and dirt, a stone sits still in the world. So I challenge you. Is there something out there that you see one way, but others see differently? I challenge you to try and take a look at it from that different perspective.
Praise Song for the Day by Elizabeth Alexander. Each day we go about our business, walking past each other, catching each other's eyes or not, about to speak or speaking. All about us is noise. All about us is noise and bramble, thorn and din, each one of our ancestors on our tongues. Someone is stitching up a hem, darning a hole in a uniform, patching a tire, repairing the things in need of repair. Someone is trying to make music somewhere, with a pair of wooden spoons on an oil drum, with cello, boombox, harmonica, voice. A woman and her son wait for the bus. A farmer considers the changing sky. A teacher says, "Take out your pencils, begin." We encounter each other in words spiny or smooth, whispered or declaimed, words to consider, reconsider. We cross dirt roads and highways that mark the will of someone and then others who said, "I need to see what's on the other side. I know there's something better down the road. We need to find a place where we are safe. We walk into that which we cannot yet see. Say it plain, that many have died for this day. Sing the names of the dead who brought us here, who laid the train tracks, raised the bridges, picked the cotton and the lettuce, built brick by brick the glittering edifices they would then keep clean and work inside of. Praise song for struggle, praise song for the day, praise song for every hand-lettered sign, the figuring it out at kitchen tables. Some live
by love thy neighbor as thyself, others by first do no harm or take no more than you need. What if the mightiest word is love? Love beyond marital, filial, national. Love that casts a widening pool of light. Love with no need to preempt grievance. In today's sharp sparkle, this winter air, anything can be made, any sentence begun. On the brink, on the brim, on the cusp. Praise song for walking forward in that light.
As I was reflecting back on 2020, my thoughts were scattered, scary, long, uncertain. Trying were words that came to mind, and I felt like all these feelings could be captured with the word dark. It is very easy to allow the dark to take over. Dealing with current events can be very hard, and silver linings difficult to come by. I sought an escape. In searching for a way to fight the darkness, the answer seemed too obvious. Light. We have many different kinds of light all around us. Some of them we don't even need to search for, like the sun and the stars in the sky, the lights in our homes, candles, fireplaces. But there are many other sources of light in our lives. At this holiday time, we add special kinds of light, like those used to celebrate Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Yule, the solstice, and of course, Christmas. There seem to be more lights on homes and businesses this year than I've seen in quite some time. Each light breaking apart a piece of the darkness so that we can find some peace, some hope in that dark. We continue to seek that hope, that light, even as we come to the end of this holiday season and this year. A year filled with finding new ways to connect, new ways to do things will soon be over. We have been given some new reason for hope in the coming year, with the change in the administration and the vaccine offering a brighter outlook, but we aren't finished with the darkness yet. We will need to continue to find new ways to do things and connect and accomplish all we need to do, and understand that things will not go back to normal. I'm not even sure what that means anymore. But this church family, together with our family and friends, can make the journey easier to travel. As we move forward together, support each other, we must all remember to seek out the light.
holidays can be stressful. There are gifts to buy, family gatherings can be really chaotic, and for this Texan, the whole negative temperatures and snow thing always kind of puts me in a cringy mood. That being said, the few weeks between Thanksgiving and the New Year have always been my favorite time of year. I really love the festive atmosphere, the holiday treats, getting to surprise my friends and family with how bad of a gift giver I am. And I always try and remind myself that I have so much to be thankful for. Every year, I make sure to save up enough vacation time at the end of the year where I can take 2, sometimes 3 weeks off and head back to Texas to spend some time with my parents. I never really appreciated just how much I enjoy being with my family until I moved to Chicago to start law school in 2015. That was the farthest I'd ever moved away from home at that point in time, by about 10 hours worth of driving. And it really made me appreciate just how much support and love I get at home, and I'm very grateful for that. 2020 has been, as my preteen piano students would say, and I'm sure most of us would agree, a complete dumpster fire of a year. The COVID pandemic has turned the world completely upside down, and even though the vaccines that are being rolled out currently are promising and kind of offer a tantalizing glimpse of the future, I know we still have a long way to go. For many people, myself included, having to stay locked indoors continually has been very incredibly draining mentally. I thought I was an introvert, but this year really has me questioning that. It's been really tough for me, especially. I live alone, and I was working from home for 3 months earlier this year, from mid-March through the end of June, and going days and days and days without any sort of human interaction really took a toll on me. It was awful. I think it's enough to drive anyone crazy, and I was very much down that path. I was lucky enough to have a little bit of a once a week kind of respite from that at my old church job. I was the organist at Vesa Lutheran up in Welch, and was very close with Pastor Marine, the pastor up there, and would go up once a week where she and I would record through our services for the upcoming week. I think both of us really appreciated it. For me, it was a chance to get out and talk to somebody and not be stuck at home on my couch. And for her, it was a chance to get out and talk to somebody that was not her husband of like 50 some odd years, Mark. So I was very grateful for that. We're both chatterboxes, and our recording sessions would sometimes go from the hour to an hour and 15 minutes that it would usually take us to set things up and run through our 45-minute service to 2 or 3 hours, just depending on the day, because we both really, really liked having someone to talk to. One thing this pandemic has shown me is the necessity in finding a family right wherever you are in some way. For me, I have been so incredibly thankful to have found First UU. The congregation has welcomed me with open arms from the very first day I started this job. Everyone has just gone out of their way to make me feel welcome, supported, appreciated, which I think is even more miraculous given that I haven't met most of you guys yet, hoping that'll change soon. The 2020 family can, and I'm sure it does, look different for every individual. It can be you and your roommate, you and your partner and your dog, you and your church congregation in my case, or even you Zooming your parents every other day, or yelling at your neighbors from your back porch to just stay in contact and have some human interaction. The idea of a family, no matter what it looks like, is, in my opinion, critical to ensuring that we stay happy and healthy as we ride through the end of this pandemic. Luckily, as I mentioned, there are so many types of family that are out there. And I just want to say a special thank you to the congregation here for adopting me into the First UU family. I'm very, very glad to be part of the pack. As 2020 draws to a close, I'll be honest, I don't think a single person will really say they're sad to see it go. I know I won't. The prospect of a new year is always kind of an exciting thought, I think, but this New Year's Eve, I think, will be a particularly joyous occasion, even though the fact that we won't be able to celebrate this joyous occasion in person, that irony is not lost on me. I definitely have things to be thankful for. I will be completely candid. It is hard for me not to feel a sense of bitterness in some way towards the past 12 months for not living up to my expectations of what the start of a new decade should have been. So, story time. I was particularly close to my voice teacher in undergrad. She was a world-famous mezzo-soprano named Rose Taylor. She traveled the globe. She was worldly, cultured, kind, brilliant, endlessly curious. Just somebody who had so much capacity for living and joy and spreading the love. She was absolutely wonderful. And she had a saying that she would often tell us, her students, and one that I still will often try and repeat to myself when I find myself in the midst of something difficult, and that is, bless the process. Simple words, but something that can be a challenge to actually put into practice. Rose passed away very suddenly in September of 2013. She had a stroke, and then, as it is even now, it's still kind of hard to think about that sometimes. Just the fact that this larger-than-life woman who was a source of support to so many, was just gone and vanished. She was the first person I think I felt a familial bond with at UT Austin. She took me, a shy, sheltered, naive little 18-year-old from a small town, and really took me under her wing and helped me blossom into an adult, I'd say. And I found different families while I was at UT, obviously, and I'm very grateful for those. Rose still holds a very special spot in my life. So, bless the process. I think that's something I need, personally, extra reminding of this year as 2020 draws to a close. And I think I'll end just by saying that I bless so many things from this year. Recovering from COVID, knock on wood, without any seemingly debilitating lasting complications. Joining the staff and the congregation at First UU here. And the development of multiple vaccines that will hopefully put an end to this deadly pandemic that we've all been suffering through. It's been a tough 12 months. I think there's no way of sugarcoating that. But I believe that we are stronger for having weathered the storm. And I have a feeling that getting this pandemic under control will be that much sweeter for us having to have had, ridden through the worst of it like we have. So, bless the process. It's not always an easy road to follow, but it will always lead us to where we're supposed to be.
It is our tradition on the last Sunday of the year to gather for a ritual of change and growth. I don't know when this practice of lighting a significant flame in our large chalice first began, but I can verify that it has been part of our liturgical celebrations for the 2 decades Richard and I have been members. This year, like everything in our pandemic lives, our ritual will be the same, but different. Just to refresh the memories of those who have participated in the past, but also to introduce what has been done to any first-timers, let me describe what usually happens. Upon entering the sanctuary, you would have been given a small piece of paper and a yellow golf pencil. At some point in the service, you would have been asked to write something, to name that which you wanted to relinquish as you move from one year to the next. This short sentence could be as frivolous or profound as you wished because it was private. A message to yourself which no one would see and which you would have put into the fire. The goal in lighting this relinquishing flame has been to have a blaze significant enough to be visible to anyone seated in the back of the sanctuary, and a flame that would burn long enough to totally consume those personal bits from your heart that have been written on paper. With fingers crossed, we usually warned that ignition may be large, but not to worry because the ceiling is high and an extinguisher is handy, as is the case this year. Admittedly, there have been times when the mix of isopropyl alcohol to Epsom salts has been a bit iffy in the fire-making category, but we are certain that this year's flame will be bright. Since we are gathered virtually, I invite you to take time to write down what you would like to change, how you would like to grow. And then, just as we do every year for this ritual of change and growth, I will light our fire. You may destroy this paper in whatever manner works best at your house, symbolically adding it to this year's fire by ripping it into tiny pieces for recycling, crumbling it into kindling for your own fireplace, running it through a shredder, or cutting it into unreadable pieces to add to a mosaic art piece. Just know that this act of writing and destroying joins us, as it does every year, as we look to the future together.
This is our annual litany of growth and change. We come here to say that we have felt loss, have known separation, have mourned, have resisted and feared the threat of life's changes. We gather to realize the potential within us. Within us is the potential to grow. Growth is forever the same, that we move toward our ultimate shape, that our energies run like a stream, finding life's channels wherever they lead. In the process, we must take on and cast off ways of being. Within us is the possibility of change. The lesson of growth is the lesson of now. The strength of our spirit resides where we are, not only where we've been. The courage to live is the courage to leave and be left by our stages of being. For the journey, we gather courage from within and beyond. In abandoning that which held our hearts in bondage, as we recognize endings, so too we invite beginnings. All is yours for the keeping, but none of it possesses you. We carry some things along, and we let some things go. We are made of our past, present, and future. May we find the courage to separate from fear and dependencies. May we risk the ache of growth and change. We travel with gratitude, humility, and hope.
Lines Written in the Days of Growing Darkness by Mary Oliver. Every year we have been witness to it, how the world descends into a rich mash, in order that it may resume, and therefore who would cry out to the petals on the ground to stay, knowing as we must how the vivacity of what was is married to the vitality of what will be. I don't say it's easy, but what else will do if the love one claims to have for the world be true? So let us go on, cheerfully enough, this and every crisp day, though the sun be swinging east, and the ponds be cold and black, and the sweets of the year be doomed.